ArtStart is a community-based arts organisation in Edmonton which aims to promote arts and to engage people as much as possible in arts activities through theatre, through craft, through performance. Charles and Mary Lamb were literary artists. Both lived for a short period of their lives in Edmonton, in North London. Charles was principally an essayist, but he also worked on poetry. Mary, his sister, although she did a mundane job of sewing, was also a literary artist. And together they created The Tales of Shakespeare, which is recognised now as one of the best children's books, well, not just for children, for adults as well, that actually make people understand the stories of Shakespeare. The idea was that as the festival was going to be launched, it would be really important to actually get people engaged in the story of the lambs. So this puppet performance is an easy way to tell their story to people who may not know anything about the lambs, or even for people who do know about the lambs. It's just an interesting way to actually tell the story. Initially, after reading the script, I began doing preliminary sketches and tried to include elements of Mary and Charles' life. So the set is basically a padded cell which is interwoven with shirts. Mary spent a lot of her time sewing shirts. The puppets include marionettes, there's rod puppets, there's a shadow screen which tells very intimate parts of the tale. The production has quite serious moments but also quite comedic moments. As part of the story, Mary is sent to an asylum, and for those two scenes where she actually engages with a nurse, the first time we see the nurse, she looms over the set, so it creates an effect. Giant arms come through the set, she appears over the top and completely dwarfs Mary, who is actually on the stage at that point in her straitjacket. Later on, when the tables are slightly turned, where Mary is much more confident, where she's much more together, Nurse is almost reduced to a Judy character that you would see at the end of the pier with Punch and Judy.
The soundtrack is one continuous piece. There's no live dialogue in the show, and we purposely did that because we're working with a kind of skeleton crew, basically. There's only 3 of us, and I think we counted there was 25 puppets in the production with only 3 operators of those puppets. So we had to do the soundtrack in such a way that it could just be operated remotely and not have live microphones or live setups, just for ease basically, and for the places in which we were going to be performing it. The most important part was making sure that the dialogue or the kind of message that the story gives gets across to the audience. So I can fill things with sound effects and with different, musical cues, but if the voices are lost, or if they're not clear, or if the clarity isn't there, then people don't pick up on that, they don't understand it, especially when you're listening to voices with marionette puppets, because their mouths don't move and you pick up probably about half of what someone says from the way their mouth moves. The voices need to be as clear as possible, otherwise you don't actually understand what they're saying.
I would think it was aimed primarily at anybody probably over the age of 11. That's not to say that younger children couldn't enjoy the performance, but there's certain elements which are quite dramatic, and that could perhaps cause some concern for parents who had very young children to watch it.